Sometimes I like to create a story just brand new, like the ancient one, that is the tale of a brave young woman and a great redwood tree that's also a time tunnel and a great adventure that follows. Other times, though, I have been drawn to filling in the gap in the lore of an existing marvelous story that's been around sometimes 2,000 years. That's what happened with Merlin. I realized there was a tremendous tapestry of myth, glowing and beautiful in every single thread that had been woven by storytellers, bards, singers, playwrights over the centuries for 1,500 years since the ancient days of Celtic Britain. But there was a hole in that tapestry, a big, yawning hole about his youth. And to me, that was the time when the most interesting things happened, the most consequential things. How did he learn about courage, about loyalty, about love, about loss? How did he come to realize the source of magic is nature and allow that to flow through himself? How did he ultimately become the greatest wizard of all times? From that waif who washed ashore on the very first page and ended up ultimately learning and growing through all of the adventures of the Merlin Saga. That was a story, and I remembered right away that I was a weaver, but I had to be careful, and I needed to do it well or not at all, because Merlin deserved only the best. That character is so rich and therefore so beloved around the world. You can judge whether it actually works. But I had a lot of fun over that 20 years weaving in those threads. Another example of taking an existing myth and filling it in was Atlantis. I have loved forever that tragic tale of the Isle of Atlantis, destroyed ultimately by human greed and arrogance, and then swept under the waves of the sea to disappear forever. That tragic tale was first told, believe it or not, by Plato 2,000 years ago. But it's always struck me, there's another story I want to know. And it's a big clue for me if I want to hear the answer to a question. I'm leaning forward and I want to know that story. It's an invitation to write it. The question that was hanging there was, not how was Atlantis destroyed, we know that, but how was Atlantis created? What happened at the beginning? What were the brave people? What were the troubles? What were the loves that ultimately came together in a miraculous fashion and produced the most magical isle in literature, the Isle of Atlantis? Those are rare and wonderful opportunities because you get to take the heft, the weight, the depth, the complexity of a myth that may have been in people's hearts and minds for centuries, even thousands of years, and add something brand new. So you have the opportunity, if you stay true to those core values, to enliven and deepen and freshen that ancient myth, but also tap into that wondrous depth of an existing, marvelous, beloved story.